This is an interesting headstone in front and back. This, as you can see, M.M. Weaver, Michael Montraville. So why they called him Montraville, we don't know. Apparently everybody called him Mont. He was also a Methodist preacher by the end of his life. He was the youngest son of John Weaver, the youngest of 11. And he is buried here. And he was the one that decided there should be a town of Weaverville. Up until that time, Weaverville was called, the area was called Dry Ridge. It's what supposedly the Cherokee called it. And then it was called Salem Campground, after the campground down where the lake was. And Montraville had built a house up here where Main Street is now. And he and Dr. Reagan got together after the Civil War. This is during Reconstruction, of course, 150 years ago, and said, we need a town. We need a reason for people to be here. We need to keep the families here. And we need a good school, because the Temperance High School was burned down during the war. I'm not as cause of the war, I think, but during the war. So Montraville stood on the steps of Blue Mountain Pizza, go figure, which was the Vandiver General Store at that time. It's the oldest commercial building in western North Carolina still in use. So cool. He stood right there and he said, I'm donating half a mile in each direction. That's our town limit. And Main Street will be half mile in each direction from right where I'm standing. So if you stand in front of Blue Mountain and go to Weaver Boulevard and go down to about here, that's just about a mile. So it still is. So he founded the town, and he said, also, I'm giving 5 acres for a good school. And of course, the school was on College Street, and some of the buildings still stand. The apartment building was the girls' dorm. There's the boys' dorm that's at the corner of Brown and South College, and the president's home, which some of our people here, Greg,
still standing. We're in it.
Greg and Caroline live in the president's home. Dr. Reagan was the first president of a college and the first mayor of the town. I think because he was the most educated guy in town, probably. So anyway, and he was also Michael Montraville's son-in-law. So see, everybody is connected here, right? Sure. So he married Jane Baird, right? And Jane was Beaton Baird's daughter that I pointed out. And Jane is on the back side. I'm not sure. Something about his face. But Jane, he has a long epitaph. And Jane is on the back, and hers is not really worn because it hasn't gotten the weather. And it says, she has done what she could.
I like that.
Women really got it. I mean, you would thought 11 children later they could have come out with something better than that. But anyway, so this is supposedly Michael Montraville is where the pulpit stood, supposedly. We can't guarantee that, but the legend is that the pulpit was right here and the log church was right here in about 1805. So,
do you know why his headstone is not facing the place?
Supposedly it was where the pulpit is, and that's, I don't know, maybe that is the reason. I have no idea. Maybe it's older than the other ones around it. Maybe it was the church was oriented differently. I've been trying to figure out where, supposedly moved the church because the road was too close, so, it's hard to figure out where that would have been. Because the roads and the creeks have changed courses over time a lot. Right next to this, anybody have questions about Michael? Move along. This is Captain W. Weaver. Captain Weaver, William Albert, was the captain during the Civil War. We have a whole book of his memoirs. If any of you came to our storytelling evening, Chris Roberts read a lot of his memoirs. And the best story about Captain Albert is he was married to a Baird also, Hannah Baird. And he was the son of Michael Montraville. And supposedly he was killed during the Civil War. And his commander sent word to Weaverville that he was killed for them to come for his remains. And a few days later, he shows up. And his commander was not a little shocked, right? But, oh my gosh, I just sent to your father saying that you're dead. great. He said, get on the stagecoach, which is interesting, that there was a stagecoach that came to Weaverville. Get on the stagecoach and go quickly and, tell your parents you're okay. Well, somehow he missed his father on the road coming with the wagon to get to Renee, so they crossed paths. And he gets to Weaverville, though, and they are planning his funeral. So, he said some people thought he was a ghost, actually. They were convinced that he wasn't real when he got here. So, it's interesting. Captain Weaver is the one that had Gilbert Baird, the black man, and was his slave. His mother, Jane Eliza, inherited about 14 in her father's will. She inherited 14 slaves from her father. And apparently Gilbert was one. He and Captain Weaver were the same age. So obviously they suffered a lot together probably during the war and came home together. And both of them lived to be they lived from 1842 to 1935. And Gilbert was in his 90s too, I believe, when he died. So they both lived a very long life after the war. Yes. A lot of the stones have been replaced by families. If there was just like this isn't one probably the old stone. Right here. Yeah, this has a Confederate symbol, and you can see it was pointed at the top, which was Confederate. And it has a symbol on it, and it says Captain W. So this has been the original, and it tells his company that he was in, his regiment, and so forth. And it's CSA, Confederate States of America. So the family, they would come in and put a big stone that would maybe have several members of the family.